Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second segment, episode 269 of Sold with Updike Pugh. I'm Jeff Updike.
I'm Weston Pugh. And so today we thought we'd take a little dive down real estate terms 102. I feel like it's funny that we're doing this as everyone is graduating. I feel like this should have been segments that we worked at when everybody started school, but the hell with it. You've got summer school. So let's talk about this because you're buying houses right now and you need to know.
You need to know.
Expansive Soils. If you're not from Texas and don't have that, some of you are very lucky and come from areas that have lots and lots of rock. We not so much. We have expansive soils, meaning that when moisture, rain come and go, that the soil will contract or expand. And what that does is that really pitches on your foundation and can wreak havoc throughout the house. A lot of times the newer construction homes have got this figured out by actually going deeper below, looking for solid substrates to connect to. They also do the new foundations that they do allow them to have a post tension, which tighten up and can actually help them to float as a monolithic piece on top of that expanding soil. The biggest thing to remember, expansive soil, don't let it wash away.
Yeah.
Those are the takeaways.
Keep soil consistency around your house the same all year long.
All year long.
So the second term is one that you probably won't hear much about, but it's called FERPTA. And FERPTA is the Foreign Investment in Real Estate Property Tax Act of 1980. And the purpose of it basically is if a seller is a foreign person, it is the buyer's responsibility to collect up to 15% of the seller's proceeds and remit that to the IRS.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that would be done in title, correct?
It would be done at the time of title.
So
yes.
It's kind of scary when you say it's up to the buyer to do that. It's really the title work's going to pull the paperwork together and then everybody signs on and agrees.
The title company is going to facilitate it, but
Correct.
It is the buyer's responsibility.
Right, to say, hey,
Yeah.
I need the
Yeah.
additional 15%, because
Right.
no seller's going to be like, oh, because then you're on the hook for that 15. All right, let's talk about flood insurance. So there are maps, the FEMA maps that you will be able to look at that get updated from time to time. These should be also, if you're buying a house, you can also ask the current owner if they have flood insurance. But flood insurance is one of those things that I would definitely pick up, because flood insurance is one of those things that doesn't go into effect the minute you buy it. It has like, don't you have six, you
I
can't
think
like.
it goes into effect if you're buying it as you purchase the property, but if you're just buying it to buy it,
Okay.
I think there's a period of time before it actually goes into effect.
So like if you know that there's a big flood, a big rainstorm coming and you live on the creek,
Right.
you can't buy it 2 days before
Right.
it shows up. Yeah. So think about that and buy it when you first get your house.
And the next two terms are kind of melded into one. It's historic districts and conservation districts. In the city of Dallas, we actually have historic districts, we have conservation districts, and we also have neighborhood overlays. And they just get a little more restrictive as you go along. Neighborhood overlays traditionally try to keep the continuity of the general continuity of the neighborhood. Conservation districts are a little bit more strict because those usually have a lot more governance and control of what the outside of the home looks like. And then when you move into a historic district, that's really the most, probably the most controlled environment, because they are trying to retain the historic properties of that home.
But that information is all provided to you before you actually execute the contract. You have a set number of days that you're going to be allowed to review. But those conservation and historic districts, they can have a lot of control over what you can do to the exterior of that house.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
From paint to windows.
That's correct.
And beyond.
That is correct. Winnetka Heights, I believe, even has approved paint colors, if I'm not mistaken.
I would agree with that. I think Munger is the same way.
Yeah.
So one of the things also, inspection, repairs, and walkthroughs. These are key elements. These are performed during option periods. We help facilitate these with our clients by hiring the best inspectors, by piggybacking on whether we need plumber, electricians, HVAC, all to correspond as close to the beginning of that option period so that we can make the best decisions whether moving forward, and then also make sure that compensation, both in repairs and monetary, are adjusted for the seller or the buyer.
So the next is mandatory owners association, and this is another item that you would, if you're purchasing a home, you would have that disclosed to you up front before you even made an offer. And these are also different from the historic and conservation districts because the historic and conservation are controlled by the city. The mandatory owners associations are actually controlled by an HOA board, which is a board put together of the property owners in the neighborhood. It's a thankless job, but it is an important job. This is another one where you need to read the documents that we're going to send you and make sure you understand all of the restrictions that you might have in that neighborhood.
Because Texas is tough.
It is, and especially when you get into some of the suburban neighborhoods where you can't park your car in your driveway. You have to park it in the garage. You have to have the garage door closed. I mean,
And there are also some of those areas, like in Las Colinas, that have multiple HOAs layering up.
Yeah, Valley
so
Ranch.
it can be interesting. And don't go thinking you can just throw anything you want in that backyard because it's in the backyard. They will come knocking on your door and find you. We've got some of our really good realtor friends that learned that the hard way, didn't they?
Yeah,
they don't play around with those fees.
Many of them don't.
Mineral rights, last word for the day. Mineral rights. So so this is one of the funny ones. In the city, they don't exist. You're not going to get them. That's just, I would say, if anybody asks, I had a guy at the closing table kind of get frustrated. He's like, said something about mineral rights, and I said, you're not going to get those ever. Those have been long ago taken. Mineral rights are more when we see ranch land taken care of. I will say this much. That is one of the very interesting things that they can separate from the sale of the land. So they can say we retain all or a portion of the mineral rights. So that is something to really think about and can really affect the value of that property.
It became really important here, more toward the northwestern part of the Metroplex, because there were when there was a lot of fracking going on, there were pockets of that gas that they were getting out, and so our State Realtor Association even developed an addendum to go with it so that it was very clearly disclosed to a buyer and to a seller that they were either giving up the mineral rights or they were retaining the mineral rights.
All very important because that is a lawsuit waiting to happen.
It is. So you hope you found these helpful. We'll do 103 in the next coming weeks and we'll work our way through the alphabet.
And just remember, we want to be realtors for life.